People of the world, this podcast is designed to be what it's like after a trade show, a reef keeping trade show or event, where all the participants and speakers and stuff go out and chat at the bar or at a restaurant or in the parking lot or wherever. So the gloves are off, the hats are off, and we're just talking like normal people talk. And if that means sometimes we might say words that you might not enjoy, I don't know why you're here if that's the kind of person you are, but we urge you gently, if you are upset by our words that come out when we talk, to get over it and enjoy the show.
That's all.
My name is Rich.
My name is Ben.
And this is the Reef Beef Podcast, where we talk about reef and beef and things like that. Today is a very special episode. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things on the list to talk about, and you won't believe number 4.
Can you believe it, ladies and gentlemen?
This show is sponsored by saltwateraquarium.com,
Champion Lighting and Supply,
and powered by PolypLab. Welcome to this episode of Reef Beef. Benjamin.
Yes, sir.
How have things been?
Crazy. I mean, every day's crazy for me because I'm crazy.
Crazy in life or crazy in work?
Oh, dude, all of it.
Okay.
I get there was a thing. So I took over a client where this guy bought a house. And he's only lived here for 6 months. Him and his family came from Mexico.
Okay.
And it's a big old house. And it's crazy because there was a tank built into the wall. And just, I think it might have been saltwater from the beginning. It's only about 150 gallons. But he himself, without ever owning an aquarium, like tried to do this for like half of a year.
Yeah.
And
oh, no.
He wouldn't, I mean, this isn't even a guy that's like tuning into things like reef beef or looking, just going to a store like, what do I do? So it was a complete disaster. And then his wife called me. That's how it happens sometimes. The husband's trying to do it and the wife is like, this isn't gonna fly. And so she's like, let's get an expert in here. So I wanted to, I love fresh water, I really do, but you know, my mistress is reef tanks. So I was like, I always want someone to do a reef tank if I can. You know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, can we do it salt or fresh? And he's like, I just did it salt. I was a little frustrated because obviously when you see the house, I'm like, oh, the dude's got Jack. So it's just a feeling that he had where he was unsuccessful with it.
You mean he's got money?
Yeah.
Okay, because Jack used to mean Jack Squat.
Oh, well, that's true.
And now does Jack has the circle turned? Has the wheel
The wheel of woe has come 360. And not only are we not at the same place, but we're somewhere completely different.
Yeah. Up is down.
Yeah.
Blue is yellow. And
is right.
Jack is...
Boys are girls and girls are boys.
No. That's always.
It's 2024.
And so you think the guy's he was just worried that, you know, it was saltwater before and he had a bad time? Or is fresh
It's frustrating because you know, when you're asking a client this with their decisions and whatnot, you carefully push, but it ain't my tank. You know, I don't dictate.
I got you. But was it saltwater that he was trying to do or freshwater?
Saltwater, and it had the world's worst equipment on it.
So he wanted to do freshwater because he had a bad time with saltwater?
Yeah, I pushed a little bit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about money. It was just his bad experience. And, you know, in my head, I was like, but I'm a pro and I'm better than you. So can we do that?
And I'm humble.
I know that sounds horrible. I obviously didn't say that to him, but I was like, let me do another reef tank. But, you know, honestly, when you do this for a living, sometimes it's refreshing to just fart with anything, even freshwater. So we were going to do it freshwater. But the first thing that I saw is it's a PVC. There's a company here in Texas called Planet Aquarium that makes really good aquariums. And they have sort of like a Cadillac version that has a PVC bottom.
Yeah.
And I like those a lot. It actually has more mating surface the way they do it to the glass than a regular glass does.
Okay. And you can drill it really easily.
Yeah. and then therein lies the thing. So is a tank that has a middle back overflow, where it's obviously drilled into the middle back overflow, the
Okay.
back wall, middle back wall, but it had a random hole, one hole. This is what bugs me. I understand two holes out in the bottom of the regular part of the tank, because that would be a why am I having a brain fart? Closed loop. That would be a closed loop. But a single hole, I was like, what the hell?
Just a
Okay.
return.
Yeah, so, obviously I know what I'm doing. There's a million different ways to like cover that up. There was art, but a return coming out of the bottom, that wouldn't make sense.
Sure would. I mean, but nothing makes sense and everything makes sense. We
Yeah.
used to put all the returns in the bottom, or it was an intake on the bottom and it was supposed to be under gravel filter plate.
Yeah, but that's super old school. I remember messing with that in the 90s.
Yeah, but old school is the wheel turns,
The
Ben.
wheel turns, but not with this. The tank wasn't even that old. But it was weird because it was on those PVC bottoms. I like how they do it, because the first PVC plate is over drilled with a bigger hole, and then the one below it is for the bulkhead. So it makes a recessed bulkhead.
Yeah.
But someone had this is a new word I'm making here, globbered. Someone had
Globbered. Ooh.
globbered silicone all in it,
Oh, on
which
the
which
bulkhead?
yeah, which tells me, like, every time I see that, I'm like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. But and then below it was like a 8-inch stub of PVC where they capped it. So that's what I'm telling you. So I don't even understand what was going on with it. You know,
Wait, they
it
globbered on the bulkhead? I'm sorry, I just wrote down bulkhead because I need to buy one and I keep forgetting.
yeah.
So I wasn't listening to you at all.
No, when whoever installed it, they globbered a bunch. I see people who don't know what they're doing do this. They globbered a whole bunch of like squish silicone, silicone glue
Yeah.
under a bulkhead and then push it down.
Okay, don't do that.
No,
If
there's
you're
no
listening,
reason.
don't do that. That's exactly what a bulkhead isn't
There's
supposed to
already a
do.
gasket there. It doesn't need globbering.
Yes, and the long end, this is the proper way to do this. The long end of the bulkhead goes through and the nut goes on the outside, right? Okay, you can do it the other way, but don't, because of reasons. And the gasket goes inside, right? So what happens is the pressure of the water, as well as the bolt on the outside, helps compress the gasket and stop it from leaking. And don't over tighten it.
You know what this is similar to on a garden hose? A garden hose already has a gasket between the surfaces there, but you'll see someone that has a leaky garden hose and they'll Teflon tape the threads.
Ah,
You don't need to do that. That's not the close. If
get
you
a
have
new
a garden
gasket.
hose that leaks, it means you need a new gasket.
Yeah.
That's
You
all.
buy a pack of 10, put it somewhere smart, and then you'll forget where you put it, and you'll buy another pack of 10, and then you'll never be able to find them when you need them. Except I tell you, the other day, I found one.
Really?
I found my pack and I was saved.
I don't like those hard ones that you get from like the hardware store. Actually, they have squishy silicone ones on
Yeah.
Amazon. I like the sort of gummy-ish ones.
Yeah, they're
They
made
seem
of,
to last longer.
I think they're actually made of gum.
Gum, chewing gum.
It's recycled gum.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can find that at Champion Lighting and Supply. I'm
Anyways, we are
sorry.
straying from the path.
So they had what did you call a gobbered or globbered?
Globbered.
A globbered, and so you scraped all the silicone out and pulled out the bulkhead.
Well, no, I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, that's holding, but it looks like trash. And I'm like, I guess a perfectionist in that way. Like it's like it was holding against water. It was fine, but I was like, I can't go to sleep knowing that that's bullshit's under there.
Okay.
So I could get another bulkhead and glue. I would prefer in that situation, I would glue PVC glue a cap into it. But I was like, I don't want to do that since it's a PVC bottom. I am actually going to ask around for a big disc of PVC and glue it on there. That's pretty damn permanent.
And then you can drill it again if you want to.
And so I took to Facebook and I was asking around and as Facebook does, like
why aren't you running ozone, brah?
No, it's no one's fault, but I'm like, I want a 6-inch piece of 1/4 inch thick PVC, and people like, have you tried a zebra hoof?
Right.
Or have you,
Right.
do you stare at the sun? And I'm like, no, I just want this thing. Does anyone know where to get? Have you looked under the sofa? And it's like,
It's in his trunk. It's in his
it's in
trunk.
his trunk. And it's like, ooh, you are so big. So absolutely huge. No, and then finally, Jerry from Planet Pet was like, "Man, I'll send that to you." And I was like, "Thank you. I probably should have just spoken to you in the first place." But
Because people were like, use acrylic, use
yeah,
glass, just put in a new bulkhead.
do
Right.
silicone. No, and Matt, I love Matt, and he loves that certain silicone, the 795 or whatever
Yeah.
it's called. And
Yeah.
he was like, glue a disc on there. And his point was because if I ever wanted to use that hole again, which made sense.
This is the mystical, magical Matt Wandell.
Yes.
Yes.
The 4'10" version of Matt
Yes. Whose
Wendell.
job it is to design displays at Monterey Bay Aquarium.
He is
Yes.
awesome of awesome.
So he wanted you to use 795 because then if you wanted to use that hole again, all you do is cut off the 795.
Yeah, but I knew this was permanent because I was looking at a singular hole and I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, it's almost like there's 100,000 ways to do it.
Yeah.
But you're the one who took it to Facebook.
Yes, I know. So I deserved all the things. Anyways, I was real careful. I'm real careful in my plumbing anyways, but on this one I was like, man, if this didn't glue well, that so I got the cleaner, I got the primer, I got a heavy body PVC glue, and I did the cleaner on the whole bottom of the disc and cleaner. Obviously, I vacuumed and then like rinsed with water the whole area. And I did cleaner and primer, heavy body glue, and then I laid something heavy on it. And but that kind of stuff. It's funny. We call PVC glue. It's not glue. It melts.
It's a solvent.
Yeah, it's a solvent. It melts them together. So there's no glue. It's not really glue, but it's like calling it ick. Like it's hard for us to.
It's more akin to welding than to gluing.
Yeah, it's like old model airplane stuff where you're just melting plastics together.
I don't think that's right, but I'm going to go.
It is.
All right. I'm not going to argue with you because I don't care anymore.
So that's what I did, and it worked, and it's very permanent. So I'm saying if you come across that situation, which no one will because PVC bottoms are quite rare, here is your esoteric advice for fixing very rare situations.
And the moral of the story is, we all know this already, though, but if you ask a question on Facebook, you're going to get advice.
Yeah. Do it during a stampede of zebras.
The Human Torch was denied a Bing clone.
Hey, people out there in the reefing world. This show sponsored by saltwateraquarium.com. Ben, why do we like saltwateraquarium.com? Because we won't just let any willy-nilly company advertise with us.
Boy, I tell you, saltwateraquarium.com has been with us for a very long time. They have 3 shipping locations across the continental United States, and that allows them to get a package to you with quickness. They also have an online app that you can order from. It's very great. Works in your bed at 3 a.m. in your underwear.
Or in your toilet.
Yeah.
Or on your toilet. Well, I guess
you're on a scuba diving expedition.
It could, or on a plane where you have Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Yeah, so check them out. They've got a lot of products. They've been around for a long time. They have a big community that can help you out too. You can text them and they'll get back to you. And they have discounts if you do various things. It was a big deal during COVID. If you're a first responder, they're giving you a discount because you're awesome. So check them out. Saltwateraquarium.com. Use the link down below or don't.
The Human Torch was denied a Bing clone.
Richard, what you got going on?
I got a present for you before we move on.
Oh, sweet. Do I get to unwrap it?
That's for you.
Oh my God. Oh, and that's so AI is so weird still.
You'll have to describe it to the people.
It is a cow. It's a cow's head. Well, it looks like a bull because it's got horns.
And it is Reef beef cow.
And it's down in the reef. And it's got weird AI type fish. And its face is plastered with candy corn.
That's right. Because you love candy corn.
The truth is that I hate candy corn. And they're like homeless people tonsil stones.
No, I know that the truth is that you have so many kinds of diabetes that you have to convince yourself you don't like candy corn. But
maybe my
do.
blood sugars go into my brain and my blood sugars whisper to my brain.
No, I understand. No, it's like you're trapped on a desert island, and like you have to convince yourself that you don't like your family.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Or when you're young and you see someone attractive and you're trying to pretend like you don't like them.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So you have to hit them. So
Yes.
that's why you hate candy corn. But I want you to get over this and eat the candy corn, even though you have diabetes 7 and type 7
Yeah.
and type 11 and and
it's
your
one where you get to keep your feet.
foot loose. Everybody cut Ben's foot.
Get the fuck out of the way. We can see the cow face.
Oh.
And see, look at his AI nose. His AI nose is off. It's just creepy.
It is creepy. And I can show you what I was talking about. The watch this.
I am. I'm
Alexa,
watching.
close spawn shade.
I'm not seeing anything.
It's coming now.
Oh, there goes. Are you joking? Okay, so behind Richard is his spawning thing, and he has like an automatic shade that is creeping down. That's a long one.
It closes. Those are on that side are the 2 tanks where the spawning corals are. And it's now the time of year where it matters that they don't get light pollution. And I used to do it with some sliding pieces of acrylic that went in the 80/20. And I would have to remember to open them in the morning and close them. And sometimes I would forget. And that was annoying. And I also am going to be traveling next month.
But you could even automate that, right?
It is automated. Alexa, open spawn shade.
Just like on time.
Yeah. So now it automatically opens in the morning and closes in the evening.
I like your future because I'm not, this is going to sound like a dig at you, but it's not. But it's like, I could see you one time like having Alexa take a shit for you or something.
If that could happen, I would totally do that.
Alexa, take a shit for me.
No, stop it. Stop it.
Oh, wait, it's yours is going to listen to me.
How to help you with that.
Yeah, don't talk to her anymore. Don't talk to her.
Mine is going to talk to yours.
She's not here for you.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled about that because it just makes my life so much easier.
Richard, I have a glass cleaner I want to tell people about. It's nothing crazy, but it works so well.
Go ahead.
You can get it at Walmart and Home Depot and probably Amazon and any other place, but it's called Spray. What is it called? Sprayway? Sprayway?
I don't know what it's called because you said you have a glass cleaner you want to talk about. You don't even know the name of the glass cleaner.
No, that was almost like a verbal like placeholder that I said. I don't know. What is it called? Sprayway.
It's called Sprayway?
Yes, it's a light blue and white bottle. And it doesn't contain ammonia. But look, this is no joke because obviously I wouldn't spray anything around like an open top tank. But you know, if you're doing that and you have a cloth, you could spray it on the cloth. Man, seriously, like all the stuff that's out there and some people don't, like you probably don't get too freaked out about how your glass looks, right?
Just tell us why Sprayway you like it.
No, I'm just saying because you know when you buff through like salt streaks and it leaves sort of like an oily film that you can sort of see, it blows right through it. Now you could say there's other stuff that does, but I mean I'm running around doing this all day. You got to find this Sprayway glass cleaner, and it smells good. It smells like baby's toes, and it's just a short thing. Just go find Sprayway glass cleaner if you're concerned about the outside of your glass being super clean. Yeah. Do not spray it into your aquarium, or you're an idiot.
Right, and that's why I use vinegar. And you hit it once to clean, and then you hit it with a dry towel to buff and make it shiny.
This is so much better than vinegar, but okay. I'm right and you're wrong.
Okay, all right. Send it to me and I'll use it.
Okay.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Yeah, so Champion Lighting and Supply, yeah?
Hey, Richard, you know what I like about Champion Lighting and Supply?
No, why don't you tell me, Ben? Why don't you tell me? Tell me what you like.
Look at this. Do you see this?
Wow,
right
that
here?
looks... What is that, Ben?
It's shipping materials. Okay?
Is it made of plastics?
It's cardboard. Cardboard. Isn't that crazy? I think Todd Crunkle over there, he's got this machine and he just gets this cardboard and he puts it in there and it comes out like this, like lace.
So
He
wait,
puts-
he doesn't use plastic or packing styrofoam peanuts in the packaging?
No peanuts at all. That's for the ballpark, okay?
Yeah, the ballpark. Yeah, so we love that because it's actually putting our money where our mouth is. As reef keepers, we should care about the planet as much as we can rather than just sheer expediency, sheer usefulness. The cardboard works just as well as all those other things, and it's good for the environment. Free use is the answer. Besides having all the products you might need, Champion Lighting and Supply sends you cardboard. Check them out.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Okay, this one. I was out of town, and I saw that my my alkalinity was dropping,
Uh-huh.
but
More
I didn't.
calcium reactor stuff.
I wasn't sure what was going on. At the same time, the reagents on the Trident were also out, so I thought it might be goofing.
Yeah.
But I reset the reagents because usually there's some extra liquid in there, and you can get a few more days. So I did that, and then the next day it was still at 5.5, or it kept going down. I was like, something's not right. So I came home, and it had gone from 8.5 all the way down to 5.5. And I changed the reagents and started testing that again. And you do 3 tests before you calibrate, if you calibrate. So I do 3 tests, in a row. But then I had to go to sleep. So the next morning it's still 5.5. I'm like, I guess I better go look and see what's going on.
Richard, do you never hand titrate real fast?
Very rarely.
Okay.
If I was going to check if I couldn't find a problem to make sure, or
Like
if
sanity check.
or if I found out everything was working. If I found out everything was working and it was 5.5, I would have double checked because something's off. But I thought before I do that, I'm going to check to see if everything's working. Now, why don't I check it by hand? Because I trust the machine. I've been using the machine long enough. That's what I think a lot of this stuff is actually like. This talk I'm putting together, I'm thinking about stuff like this. We didn't trust controllers to run our heaters for a long time, and now we do. And I've been running the Trident long enough for alkalinity that I know when it's going to bork, just like I can see it borking. I know what to look for, so I trust it. So I don't really, thank you, Jim Welsh. I don't feel the need to be hand testing all the time to double check things. Meh. So I go down to check the calcium reactor and the caulk, right? And actually, this is a cool thing. There was something else going wrong too. There was a whole bunch. I moved a bunch of stuff outside, which we'll get to in a minute. I guess we should do that first, but we're not going to because it's too late now.
Nanny, nanny, boo, boo.
Anyway, okay, I'll tell you this. The short story is that because I had been moving stuff around, one of my RO connectors on the calcium reactor wasn't pushed in all the way.
Okay.
So it wasn't drawing water from the tank. Right.
Oh.
And actually, this is a new piece of information. I know when something goofy is going on, when the pH in the reactor is kind of meandering around between 6 and 7. Something goofy is going on when that happens. We've been doing so much work around the house, and we changed some of the supports under the house to make access easier. And I was leaving, and I had to change some calcium media and things like that. So I the thing you don't do is mess with stuff the week before you leave, but I had to. And just one of those wasn't connected well. And how I found it was, now I'm going to tell you that later.
You're tempting the fates a lot.
So I connected that together and it started working. And then I went and looked at the caulk, and the peristaltic pump that doses my caulk had also clogged up.
Uh-oh.
So did I freeze again? No. Good.
No.
So both of my my alkalinity dosing strategies had gone bad at the same time. But we also knew that peristaltic pump head needed to be changed, and I was putting that off because of all the work we're doing around the house, trying to get the real work of putting in decks and doors and stuff. But anyway, the upshot is it was down to 5.5, and only one. So my tank in the course of 4 days will go from 8.5 to 5.5.
Oh, believe it, because it's a massive draw.
So that's an interesting thing to know. And only 2 corals seemed affected. One acro in the lab here, 1 milli, and a chalice. And the chalice may have been affected by something else.
Yeah.
But the fully blown mixed SPS tank with a lot of SPS in it took the hit down and didn't croak out. Does that
I've seen that before. There's always going to be like 1 or 2 corals that freaks out, but as long as you start to address right away and bring it back up, I've
but
seen
still
that.
it didn't come back for 6 days, 7 days. It started coming up.
Yeah.
I didn't freak out and like go rush. And that kind of dovetails into Randy Holmes Farley asked me how my tank was doing in regards to phosphate, and what advice I would have after all these years of doing weird phosphate things. And I said, I wouldn't blink for most people's tanks if it was 0.5. I worry now at 0.5, above 0.5, just because my tank has been below 0.5 for so long.
Yeah.
So I don't have any real reason to worry about that, but why not? But I said the most important thing I think is that there is no phosphate is not magic. It's if your entire system is doing well and your phosphate bounces around, who cares? If your alkalinity bounces around, who cares? Something else is happening where in my system, those corals could take that drop. And you hear all the time people saying when they have a drop like that they lose a lot of corals. So I think it's interesting to think, if we can figure out what's happening with that kind of stuff. Is it because you're running a higher alkalinity and dropping, from 12 to 9 is a worse thing?
I've definitely had tridacna clams croak out during those dips.
Yeah. So,
but tridacna clams, can frequently dip out if you sneeze too hard near the aquarium.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying bounce it around.
No.
But I'm saying, calm down.
Yeah.
Nothing fast happens in a reef tank that's good. So don't try to do anything fast. So if you have experiences with that or thoughts about that, I'm thinking that we're better off looking at a reef tank holistically instead of compartmentalized. Alkalinity is important, phosphate's important. These things. It's what's the whole system doing? It's the art and the science and what you think is going on in the tank. Because we hear a lot of stories about old timers who just let it ride and things are fine. Something's going on with their methodology or the age of their system, which is maybe the same thing. So anyway, if you have thoughts, put them below or let me know on the Discord.
What was your strategy for bringing it back up? Just bringing both things back online?
Yeah, I brought both things back online. I did some gooses of caulk. If I do too big a goose, the pH goes too high. So I'm careful with that goose.
Well, of course, for the listener that doesn't know Richard's system, it's a so-and-so big tank, but his system has all sorts of vats and whatnot under the house. So it's actually like 400 or 500 gallons in total.
Yeah. So like 250 mil of saturated caulk.
Yeah.
Will jump my pH in the display tank where most of the turnover is to about 8.5. And then that will, as that gets distributed around to the rest of the system, that comes down again. And then, at one point I was getting a little grumpy that it wasn't coming up fast enough. So I added some, what is it? Soda. See, I don't even remember the name.
Sodium bicarbonate.
Some bicarb
Yeah.
right into one of the my overflows to give it a little bit more of a goose.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything quick. I think the quick changes make things.
Well, yeah. Like, what if you overshoot it and then you know, it seems like that's at what point the coral's like, what are we doing here? Like all aquarium inhabitants, like if you get to a position sort of slowly, it's not as destructive if you're like yank it down and then yank it up and then.
Yeah, although if salinity, but it depends on the range. Like if my salinity is 33, I got no problem bringing it up to 35 in one shot.
Yeah.
If it's 30, I'm a little more nervous. I was having an issue with that as well, but I think I figured that out.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. PolypLab, PolypLab. It is a lab with polyps in it. PolypLab, PolypLab. We'll do this for the entire ad.
No, there's no way
we
that's
won't.
happening for the entire
We
ad.
won't, Phil.
PolypLab, I'm loving the Genesis blocks. Phil sent me some stuff. I'm afraid that everything's in flux right now, so I don't know where it is. But there's like holders for the Genesis blocks. But you went, oh,
Because I just recently, a customer wanted to go big on their sump, and we got a 120-gallon glass aquarium for a sump, and I just ordered 13 PolypLab boxes, and that's not cheap either.
no.
And so we're like lining the bottom with the PolypLab things. I didn't know they had holders. I'd been thinking about that someone needed a 3D print to hold them up.
Yeah, but he's got them, and like I say, things are in flux, so I don't quite know where it is right now. But write to Phil and say, hey, I want one of those holders you sent to Rich.
Well, I always thought of it because when you set them down, I don't know, you're it'd be better if you set them up.
Oh, yeah. It's like Live Rock. But anyway, we like those things a lot because they don't break and they seem to do a great job at holding the bacteria that is responsible for some of the waste processing in our tanks.
Yes.
Plus, they've got other stuff. I really do like their camera lenses, their filters, and we like their gluelets. So check them out. PolypLab products, wherever good products are sold.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
But in this Botana, have you had a Botana meal? We have lots of little plates. It's time for Ben's next dish.
Okay, so I took over another client system. This one's super fun. It's a Reef. The dude is really hyper and cool and all about it. It's a peninsula tank that comes off of the wall.
I love your pronunciation. A
peninsula? Peninsula?
A peninsula. No, it's peninsula.
It's penis-sula.
Peninsula.
Penis-shula. And there were some inherent problems with it. And I've been cleaning it now for a couple months. And what I do is I slowly correct. I don't run in there and change all these stuff. I correct, a little bit at a time. It was sort of, my title for this is why we do things in a certain manner. This is why we do things correctly. Because I guess you could say a local competitor put all this together. But it's like when you're doing a custom system, which this one is totally custom top to bottom, you as the creator, you have the luxury to like put everything where you want to put it and blah, 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 and, make this badass system. And I just get frustrated when competitors are given the money and the time to do a custom thing and they like botch it. So the cabinetry around here, you can stick your face in to see the plumbing because it has the half in and half out overflow on the back wall with the bean animal 3 drain arrangement. That drove me batty too because they didn't do the bean animal correctly. There's not a completely submerged and then partially submerged, and then they're all 3 just drains. And the drain, a bean animal overflow is very quiet. And this thing sounds like a semi idling in their living room because they did it this way. But the way their cabinetry is, you can see this stuff and sort of get your arm in halfway to manipulate this plumbing, but you can't get to like your elbow. And there's nothing to take off. And so they sort of like encased this plumbing that needs to be messed with in there. Now, on top of it, what they did is the return plumbing comes down and then it comes into the stand, and it's a long run to get over the pump. It is not supported in any way, so you could push it in this plumbing sways. And to make matter worse, they put a cheap, I'm not a giant fan of check valves, except for when you do this style where the returns are submerged under the water line, you have to do a check valve. I prefer the more expensive Swedish, like the Y-shaped ones. They're quite expensive with a plug. For that purpose, I don't like the EPDM flapper ones. So they have the EPDM flapper one, and it's way over here. And when you cut the pump off, it goes. I showed a video on Facebook. Maybe we'll show it here, but it goes boom, 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 boom for like a minute, and the whole thing is rattling. Well, so here now we come to the crux of what I'm talking about here. On that short end of the peninsula, underneath the drain, penis shula.
Thank you.
Underneath the drain, they have 2 Vortec MP40s, and first of all, they're hard to get to with your hand, but there's very little room. And again, the company making this had the ability to space this all out in the beginning, but they didn't. So these 2 MP40s have to sit weird on the wall in just this one place. Well, so I show up to clean the tank, and I look at one of the MP40 controllers. It's going green, red, green, red, green, red. I had not seen that one before, so I did a quick Google, and it was called a stall error. And then so I was like, okay, out of all these years, I've never come across a stall error, and I have like 24 of these things out there. And so it said, what you want to do is it could be a stall error because something got caught in the wet end, or it could be a stall error because the motor shit the bed. So it said first, verify that there's not something stuck in the wet end or that it's dirty. And then they said remove it, because if you remove it and then reset the MP40, if it's the wet end, then it shouldn't do a stall error again. Well, it does the stall error again without the wet end. And I'm like, oh,
dry
damn.
side problem.
So then so that's the troubleshooting I was doing there. I didn't really put eyes on it yet. So at this point, then I'm like, okay, let me go put eyes on it. But like I said, you have to you have maybe 1 inch of space where I could look behind, and I was like, oh crap, there's like salt creep all over it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why in the hell is there salt creep all over it? It sits below that where that return comes in. And I saw salt creep all around the return, and I was like, son of a bitch. It's because when you turn it off and it rattles and shakes, it rattled itself loose. Now, here was my issue too, because like, man, I've seen dry ends before with a little bit of salt creep. It's not always necessarily the end of the world to an MP40, but I worked my hand in there, and I did get it off, and I pulled it through, and it was all under in the wire and stuff. And so I was like, it got in there, and it shit the bed. Now I told the client, and he was happy with my sleuthing, and he was upset at the former. It's, oh man, this is sort of bad because he sort of still owes that old company $1,000.
Oh,
but,
well, now he can pay them half.
Well, no, because it's been other issues that I found. And so I think it's fair, but it's given him the impetus to come to them with that and say, hey, look, you ain't getting that $1,000. This, and this was wrong. But, because now too, I also have to replumb his system, and I can get to some of it from underneath the stand, but like, I'm going to leave the pump there, cut it, put on one of those Y deals, and support. You have to support a long run of PVC. It can't just be floating there in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
But you can't do that arrangement. The return shakes like a car with bad brakes, and it shook the return loose just a little bit and dribbled salt water all over the dry end of an MP40 and destroyed a $400 pump.
It's all these things that can go wrong that you don't know about till you know about them, right? Remember learning that bulkheads can get loose?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's why people crank them down so much and put silicone on them and stuff. And it's like, no, if you're going to do that, glue it for real.
Yeah. And my title of that thought was that way because my first thought when I found all out exactly what happened, and I was like, and this is why we do stuff right, because you don't design a system that destroys equipment.
Right.
Right. And in this setup, there was no other place where that MP40 could sit really. So I'll just have to do it all correct.
That leads into to my next dish.
What you got, baby?
What I got some new anemones.
Oh,
and,
cool.
And I was making sure they were going to live. So I had them in a container in one of the lab tanks behind me in the lower tank. And what I do to get water in there so that anemones don't escape is I have a quarter-inch line that I siphoned from the top tank down to the bottom tank. And I got busy, and I had to, I wasn't. They stayed in there longer than I wanted, and I came down one morning, and the floor was wet.
Oh shit!
So the clip that was holding it in place had popped off for some reason. I think I caught it or I bumped it, and I didn't notice in the morning when I woke up. So it was only going for probably 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
It's still a lot of water. I mean,
Yeah.
a gallon of water on the floor is a lot of water.
Yeah.
But it struck me that I'm very smart because I did it right. It long ago, like my first foray back into reef keeping in the late 90s, in the late 90s,
1890s.
I was like, I am not going to put any electrical underneath any body of water if I can really avoid it.
Yeah.
I don't want any electrical. So, when I first set up these lab tanks, all the electrical was below in the first stand because that's what we did, right? And I hated it. And now all the electrical's up on top.
Up top. I remember that.
Or mounted on the wall, So this leaked underneath, but there was nothing down there that could get damaged. So
your floorboards are super old, right?
Oh, dude, this whole house is going to need new floors if we ever die or move or whatever.
Yeah. If you ever die, are you planning to not die?
Yeah.
I want to live forever.
Why do you think I keep these animals?
Yeah.
I just saw a metasepia poop.
Oh, wow.
Flamboyant cuttlefish just pooped.
It's not every day that you're just in your house and you watch a cuttlefish poop.
No, it's not. Jackass.
That's why we do what we do, because we can say, like, what'd you do last Sunday? And you're like, well, I watched a squid monster shit in my house.
That's right. That's right. Not many people say that. Or not many people will admit it.
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing.
But the moral of the story is put your electrical stuff somewhere where it won't get wet, or try to do something to protect it from getting wet. If my Apex stuff was under there on the floor, it would have been gone. I don't care how many drip loops you have. If it's on the floor, it's getting wet anyway. So, keep that in mind when you're doing stuff. Sometimes you can't put it on the wall or put it above. And if you can't, they do make some really cool electrical boxes that you can put everything in. I mean, even a toolbox, just to keep stuff from dripping on your electrics. You spend a lot of money for it, and you can whine as much as you want about how everything should be waterproof. But I think our new mantra here at Reef Beef is let's stop whining about what we want and make the best with what we got, because what we got is so good.
Let's throw a little bit of old school. I know people are still doing it now, but I'm just saying, like, back in the day, you had to DIY everything that you saw a need for, just because, that's just what it called for. So, like, you can buy an empty toolbox and pop a hole inside and put ballast and stuff in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You learn how much electrical tape you need to put on some plugs to keep water from getting inside them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to DIY everything.
Mm-hmm.
We used to use. Oh, by the way, do you know bean animal overflow? That it's be an animal.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that was his name. Be an animal.
I never knew that.
Yeah, he didn't realize that it read as bean animal. So it's very funny. He doesn't.
Which it always confounded me, because it's like, every time I say, I'm like, what in the hell does that have anything to do with anything?
And this was just when usernames were new and we would write stupid stuff.
So wait, so now I should say be an animal overflow?
No one will know what you're talking about.
But that's like saying ick and crypt.
What do you think?
Why do we have to have a secondary language? This pisses me off.
Do you think this is some scientific endeavor with everyone on the same page and central association, making sure everyone follows the same best practices?
Let's let people decide what they want done to their own bodies.
Peninsula.
Penis shula.
I'm looking at my list. You don't have anything else on the list.
I'm dry. Dry as a dry bone.
Okay. Sharing time.
Sharing is caring.
Can you see that?
I can see that. It is a cabinet with 4 doses, a whole bunch of DI canisters, some soundproofing stuff.
Yeah. So we're getting some sliding glass doors in the living room. We're going to build a deck out there. And that deck is going to make it a little bit more difficult for me to open the doors to the crawl space and get under there. Right?
As if it wasn't difficult enough already.
Yeah, and that's why I had all the DI stuff and the canisters and the carbon canisters on the door itself, because I could open that door and stand there and take them off, and it was really easy, and I didn't have to bend over. So since I know that's coming and it's going to be more of a pain in the ass, I moved all the DI stuff and the GAC stuff out into a cabinet on the side of the house.
Oh, because I mean, a dose can like push and pull from what, like 250 feet away?
And then I thought I'm going to put all the doses out there too, because one of the reasons that I don't check the dose, I guess we don't look at this picture. I don't check the dose heads as often as I could.
Yeah, because they're scattered all over the place.
Because and they're under the house. You got to climb around, and and I had that same thought that you had just said, that, well, heck, why don't we just
centrally locate them?
Centrally locate it, and put them up higher so it's easier to do, right?
But the only problem I have with that is I like watching you crawl around.
That's never going to end.
Okay.
In fact, at some point I'm probably going to bring you out here so we can make it all beautiful under there,
and we can crawl around together.
We can crawl around together. I also ran 60 feet of PVC under the house to set up for the new spawning runs. So that got done. So now I just have to finish that off.
And then you're going to put a wide check valve on it so they flap across the...
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
No, mine are supported.
Yeah.
And, but I was a little worried that the doses outside were going to be noisy. So I did some soundproofing. They're not that noisy when you close the doors on it. But
did that look like a metal?
Yeah, it's just a metal office cabinet.
Okay.
And I, drilled holes in the side and ran all kinds of RO tubing in and out, and to do everything the RO needs to do. We need to redo all of that, not all of it, but most of it, because I thought I had lost my white RO tubing. So my whole plan for color coding everything went out the window. But then it arrived 2 days later. So I'd like to run everything, tack it all up nice, and make sure it's all color coded so we know what all of it is.
Yeah, you'd just be like, oh, there's white. That's a transfer from main system to the flow, and that's caulk.
But I have found a new way to figure out what tube is what, which I'll tell you in one sec, because I wanted to say, I am ordering I dropped one of the doses in a tank.
That doesn't work.
Because of how, I had it placed stupidly anyway for years.
But why not get one of those new ones?
Well, I'm ordering. So I used my last backup one.
Okay.
So I ordered 2 quiet drives because I have 2 doses. One that runs a frag tank that runs like 100,000 mil a day, and another one that does the auto water change, which runs a lot. So I'm going to replace those with the quiet drives. And then those 2 old doses will be my backups.
Were you walking with those doses and you were like, oops, and dropped them? Or this really?
No, this really was, it was the first one I was moving, actually. Yeah. And I rested it on top of the sump, and then it got pulled or bumped and went skabloosh.
Man, see, I believe that they fixed those front buttons.
Yeah.
Because I've screwed up a dose before having water on my hands and it got underneath that button and then it wouldn't shut off. And I was like, oh man, I borked it.
So the thing I figured out, because now there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's like 15 or 16 different RO lines coming from that cabinet into the house, right? And so I've been troubleshooting things like troubleshooting the calcium reactor, and my little bog water doser wasn't running. And it's like, oh shit, how do I know what line is doing what? Or one of the intakes, I troubleshooted one of the intakes for the automatic water change had floated up and was above the water line.
Oh.
So it wasn't pulling any water. It's like, why is my salinity going up and my
Is
water
it just a
going down?
raw, like 1/4-inch tube that you stick in there?
Not anymore.
Okay.
And it was loose like that because it was a quick fix.
Yeah.
And quick fixes, if you don't go back to fix them, they compound, which is great. I'm getting a lot done. But I've got that big air pump out there. So I take a piece of RO tubing and I connect it to the air pump, to one of the lines on the air pump, and then I blow air through the RO tubing, and then I can either see it bubbling in a reservoir, or I can come back. I don't have to go under the house. I plugged the air pump in there, came over here to this bog water, my bog, and it's like, oh, nope, air's coming out of there, so that tube's in the right place.
But you would have to have the peristaltic running, because if it stops, it's pinching the line.
You pull it off the peristaltic. So I'm just checking the lines.
Okay.
Just checking the lines. So when I was putting them on, once or twice, probably once actually, I had the lines backwards. So it was, as I was testing, I was like, why isn't that one working? And so then I would blow through it. And then I realized, well, the way I'm doing it, I won't necessarily feel enough resistance.
Yeah.
Because the intakes are only, a 1/2 inch below the water line. So I'm not going to feel that. So it's like I could suck on it to see if water comes through, but that's gross.
Yeah.
But just boop, bubble. Where's it bubbling? There, it takes 2 seconds and you find it.
No, that's a good thing. That's like a visual indicator.
Yeah. And so now I'm almost a little less concerned about the color coding, and I'm more concerned about just making it neater under there. So I think you're going to be impressed when you see what's going on.
Yeah, I guess we'd sit and think about the color coding, but I mean, wouldn't it still be good? I don't know.
Yeah, but there's also, it's like not all the lines go through each other. So they're not one bundle all over the place. So
yeah.
I've got like the caulk is yellow on the intake and the out, because yellow is a nice chemical thing. But those two lines can be the same color, because at the dose, you can see one goes into the lanthanum reservoir or the caulk reservoir, and the other one goes out and it's labeled caulk on the other end. And it's not a crazy long run. Do I really need to spend a lot of time color coding these things? Maybe, maybe not. But one of the things I've realized lately is replacing stuff is part of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And replacing stuff because you could do it a better way is also part of the game. I got caught up. We've talked about ecological grief, right? The idea that you're depressed and sad about the state of the world, and when that comes to recycling and use, you start thinking, I shouldn't change anything that I don't really need to change. But sometimes you need to change stuff, and sometimes you invest money in the thing and you go, oh, I don't like this anymore. I've learned from this. I'm going to do it differently this time. Like the new catio is crazy. But the old catio, took time and money to put up. And
the cat patio?
Yeah. I'm sorry, the Kaschlintla.
Kaschlintla.
But we threw it away. But the new one is so much better, and the quality of life we get and that the cats get is better. So it's, I'm getting much more okay with going, oh no, let's replace what you would call garbage.
Yeah.
And make it less garbage or not at all garbage, because that's kind of nice.
I like the term trash.
Trash.
It sort of hits harder.
Trash.
It makes you feel bad about it.
Yeah, well, that's what I need more of, feeling bad about myself. So anyway, the moral of the story is I've moved this stuff outside, so it's easier to access, it's easier to do maintenance on, which means I'll pay attention to it more.
Dude, that's a concept that I always say, like, if it's not accessible, it's not acceptable. Or, if you design your aquarium in a way, like canister filters sometimes on freshwater tanks. Ugh. I mean, if it's your job, you do them. I still have to do it, but it's just like, nowadays, why not explode it and just do a trickle filter or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you get one of the big E-heims and you put the proper stuff in it, and the thing weighs about 80 pounds full.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting older, and so I'm saying, if you make it difficult to do something, you probably either you're not going to do it or you're going to drag your freaking feet doing it.
One day you will. It's like all the people testing every week. It's like, God, unless you're a crazy person, and I mean that in a good way. They're
Good crazy.
They're, like Jonathan and Jim and, people who get off on the testing. There are those people. Most regular people, you are eventually going to get sick of testing, and it's just going to fade away. And if you haven't got the chops to be able to reef without the testing, because you stop testing and you don't know really what's going on, you're going to eventually run into a problem, which is why I love the auto testers. I'm running the phosphate one just because, but it's kind of interesting to watch. But that's a different topic. I might end up moving all my electric from under the house out into a cabinet.
Yeah. Because just like the peristaltic with the lines, all electric needs is a long cord.
Yep. And some of the like the modules for the for some of the Apex things,
Like
that might
MXM,
be hard.
FMM.
Yeah, and also for the like just probes.
Yeah.
The probe cable length is only so long.
That's true.
But like the EB8s and the EB832s, and it's like, oh, most of those could probably be outside.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. Also, I am getting older too, and crawling around is not as fun as it used to be.
You're not Benjamin Button?
I'm sorry, I'm getting younger, and so my hands can't hold as much weight.
Yeah, he has baby hands.
Baby hands.
And your diaper slips and it's awkward.
But then we were looking at this stuff and we went, oh, why don't we put 2 more doors on the sides of the house instead of the back? So it's like, oh, so my access will be from the sides.
Oh.
That's nice. But those big doors will still be there under the deck if I need to move big things or if I feel like crawling around that way.
Basically, you're turning your house into a termite mound.
Pretty much. Oh, and I may end up just like moving the skimmer and the calcium reactor and the caulk reactor just under the deck.
Okay, then you sort of don't need to pump air into there.
What are you talking about?
Don't you have a thing where you're like pumping air from the outside using one of those big industrial air pumps?
Yeah, but that's for air for the sump.
Yeah, but if you put basically your skimmer outside, man, it's going to be exchanging that gas like a mother.
Well, it basically does that already because
Yeah.
it's under the house. But I also will run, I think I already have it, but I don't know which RO line it is. From that big air pump, I've got a line that comes into the lab, and I have a line that comes in behind the display that are air lines, so I don't actually need pumps.
So that's a case for not color coding everything, but maybe color coding that.
Yes, absolutely, because those are long runs, and it's like, what does this do? And,
Yeah.
the tags fall off, and,
Just put your lips on it and you'll find out.
yeah.
I want to be here for when you move all your filtration to your neighbor's backyard.
Yeah, well, I want to buy the house next door, and I'll just move it all over there.
Yeah.
A filtration shed.
Yeah. Yeah. People will be so jealous. You'll have a filtration house.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, the crawl space was great for 20 years,
Yeah.
but you start going, I am really tired of
Why am I
crouching
crawling
around,
under here?
I've
Yeah.
got puzzle mats down there, so it's soft on your knees and everything. But, just let's move all kinds of stuff out of there. It just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
It should be somewhere else. And I threw away so much crap. You won't even
Wait,
believe
I'm
it.
a little bit sad because I want to be there to throw away stuff too.
There's still more stuff to throw away. I threw away like buckets of the original
vomit?
Ecotech MP10s.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That it was like, for the last 10 years, every couple of years I go, oh, I should give these away. And then you start going, now it's been 10 years since that. It's like,
Wait,
nobody
I do
even
have-
wants these.
I do have more to add then, because yesterday with my son was like running a leaf blower because he thinks it's fun. So I was like, man, I was sort of getting depressed about my garage because it's my business.
Yeah.
And so it's so clogged with stuff. But you look at this box of wires. And so for years, I sort of get, it makes me depressed. I just look at it and I tell myself I should do something about that. And I don't. man, I was digging through it and I was finding DC pumps from the beginning of DC.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why did I chunk it now? And
Right.
then I even found some Gen 4 Radeons that I had switched a customer out with Gen 6s. And I was like, oh, I'm going to recoup some, get some extra profit by selling these because he allowed me to just take them. They were trashed just because I let them sit there.
Yeah.
And it's like,
You let it sit too long. This cube tank that the Metasepia are in, it came with a skimmer. And I was like, I'm never, ever, ever going to use this little skimmer.
Yeah.
But it's been in a box for 6 months, and I junked it. The little compartments that the little media boxes that are made for the built-in,
oh yeah,
the built-in filtration system there. If you want to use it in the back, the built-in sump kind of.
yeah.
I kept those because it's possible when these Metasepia go that this becomes a Ranchu goldfish tank.
Oh.
The big idea of the big tank, that's going to be on hold for a little bit. The big tank in the stairwell. We got to put the deck on the back, and I just got to see how
don't
the
rush
world
it.
is.
Yeah.
So
no
it's not,
rushing.
I'm not rushing any of that. Although, and the display tank is going to need a major Dwayne Ostrich style overhaul soon. Its stuff is just, I'll get some video. Stuff is going, it's growing like crazy pants.
Yeah.
And stuff is getting farther and farther forward.
Because Reef Beef has helped advance even you.
Yes. That brain of candy cane coral, the Calastria,
Yeah.
it's now shaded, so it's not doing very well.
Oh no.
So I've got to chop a bunch of stuff back.
Well, yeah.
I have 2 things left. We have
Let's
2
get
things. We'll end with the beef. The first thing is I've got a Quanta Atlas here that I got, which is one of Luca's new lights.
Oh, the
It's,
giant sucker.
It's the big one, and I'm testing it now, and I like it. It's like 14K color wise, and it's the only I don't have any blue supplementation on it, so I wanted to leave it because when I first put it up, it was like, oh, that's a weird color.
Yeah.
But I'm just leaving it. It's on the Metasepia, and it's like, oh, this looks really good as I get away from everything else being so blue or having more blue in it.
But it's like his other products, right? You can't control.
No, you can control it, and I think you can control the new bars too.
Okay.
It's got a 0 to 10 control line built in. It's also got a reflector if you want a reflector, which is really nice. And because it doesn't get so hot, the reflector, you can plasti dip paint it. I think Jim Graham did. Make it whatever color you want. It's passive heat dissipation, so it does get warm. So if you got a small canopy, it's going to warm up your canopy. And it comes, it's got a switch on it, so it can be 150 watts, 200 watts, or 240 watts.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay.
And then you can do the 0 to 10, and I've got it hooked up to an Apex VDM, and it ramps up and ramps down during the day. And I've got my Apex par meter hooked up to it.
I've heard that it puts out a lot of par.
This is why, Apex is such a good ecosystem. I think it's got so many pieces that do so many things.
Sometimes.
Most of the time. But anyway.
Sorry, I got to put my dig in there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to dig, but everything's got to dig, right?
I know.
But whatever.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the par was kind of crazy. Let me see if I have it real quick.
Like, not like we're making an ad for him. I'm just saying, like, that's a cool product. Then immediately I was thinking, like, companies that grow corals should be looking at something like that.
Oh, 100%. And these may end up going on my Reef. I mean, one of the reasons I'm very excited about these
skies aren't being made anymore.
That's right, because I've got 2 replacement skies. And I know I can use light bars of blues to get me the blues I want as well. So, we're going back to like metal halide kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think was Luca's idea. He was like, let's just make this a light, make it simple, make it easy, make it powerful. And then if you want other colors, you supplement that with bars. I think it's a sound, wise strategy. The par numbers here, my sky pulls 200 watts. And this is I'm measuring the par in air. And at 100%, the sky was doing about 829 par.
Wow.
12 inches below the light.
Okay.
In air. So no water,
Okay.
right? The Atlas at 150 watts was pulling 1,104 par.
Wow.
Yeah. And the coverage with the Atlas is huge.
Yeah, it's like a big bell.
Oh, and then I added the reflector and the par went up to 1,300.
I mean, again, this is not a subterfuge ad for anyone, but holy crap, man, if you're growing corals like that arrangement.
Luca wanted to give me this light, and I told him no.
Because
And
we'd be beholden to saying,
yeah, he was like, but I don't care. You just tell everyone. And he did give it to me at a discount, which I was not going to say no to. But I still threw my own money at this stuff. And the same with the Apex stuff. I throw my own money at that stuff.
well, because like if it sucks, we want to be able to say that it sucks without making someone sad.
Yeah, I don't think it sucks. At 240 watts with the reflector, I'm getting 1970 par.
I mean, dude, that's too much.
Yeah. And you can put it on the variable dimming and dim it that way. On the dimming, the max dimming, the max power will be the max of the wattage you have the light set for. Oh, the other thing, you can hose the light down. You can hose it down to clean it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's embedded in like
it's all sealed and shit. It's fucking great.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Can you do that with Kessels or no?
Some of them. I'm not sure which ones. And I would be.
What is it? The IP
check.
something rating? IP 60?
IP something like that.
IP freely?
Yeah, I've got the box somewhere. I think I could look it up. But it's super easy to hang. It's super easy to use. There's no choices. It's pretty great. Hooking it up to the Apex was way easier than I thought it would be. You know, I always get grumpy with a new thing. I'm like, I'm on.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of works.
That's good.
But yeah, this over the main tank. If I go with the new big tank, I'm definitely using these.
Definitely that.
And you know, looking that the skies are not going to happen. Part of me, the skies work so well in the lab for me, because of their form factor and their active cooling.
Yeah.
That I'm kind of feeling like maybe I'll start to move. And these are like $400, the Atlas. They're
versus like 1,000 or whatever.
So I might start to move to replacing the skies with these things and save those skies for here. But
I guess I gotta wonder, you know, what's Aperture's move, because they, you know, discontinued the skies, but you know, they own Ecotech. So like what Ecotech Generation 7, like, is that gonna look like a sky, you know?
Yeah. And also, you know, there's been years of weirdness with the MXM or the WXM and the Radions. I love the Radion lights, but that weirdness for spawning, I don't even want to deal with it. So we'll see what happens. I also like the coverage. The coverage is boss, man.
Yeah, with the only thing that I could and this is just me being honest, is that some people may have a problem with the form factor if it's like out in a living room, because it looks sort of warehousey.
Yeah, but that's always an issue.
Yeah.
You know, and also, you know, the size between my tanks, and I keep pointing to the lab behind me, which is not on screen.
Yeah, no, that's weird. Yeah.
But these lights probably
wouldn't fit in there,
They wouldn't be a good use in there. So, you know, we were talking about hoarding a few minutes ago. You know, do I really want to hoard these skies? Or, you know, by the time I get to them, is there going to be something else out that I'm going to, so it's kind of like, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, like, oh, let me get extras of these. And then by the time you're replacing them, it's like, well, these suck compared to this new thing anyway.
Yeah, I've got fucking 2 new in box Fluval C's 6s because I thought I was going to have to replace those all the time. And,
but I don't know about I know the Fluval is a great pump, but like I'm saying, the skies right now would have an incredible resale value.
Would they?
Yeah, I mean, there would be so much in demand. They know they're getting discontinued. Some people have planned to have those, or just like, you know, you wouldn't, that'd be something where if it's new in box, you wouldn't be missing much from what you paid for it.
But, you know, yeah, I also
Would you
think
go
that,
another 5 years with skies again?
yeah, I think so. You
Okay.
know,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I think that the equipment for the hobby is getting better and better. And yes, a lot of it is still wanting, but it's getting better and better. And
Well,
you know,
okay,
and things and things go away, right?
Call me a hater, but I want to see what's going on in the post aperture world.
Well, we will. Unless the
We will.
tiny meteor gets you.
Yeah. Or I could just get killed by a celestial body before then.
Good. I am thinking about getting a backup trident. But now that my brain is less freaky about the world, and that I just found out that if my alkalinity stops dosing and the tank goes down to 5 for a few days,
It's not going to explode.
I
Yeah.
can go to the store and get another trident. You know,
Yeah.
why am I keeping all this stuff? And
Yeah.
even, you know, with things like the doses, you know, I'm glad I used my last backup one because the doses are now outdated. It's the quiet drive is the way to go.
Wouldn't it make you feel sort of cool, like when you sort of hoarded a piece of equipment, but you get it out and hey, there you go, little buddy. That's what I got you for.
Yeah, it made me feel good, but now it's like now I can replace you.
Yeah.
You know, I can replace you with the new thing.
And thank God you got 4 extra Model T Fords because
Exactly.
when the new Tesla comes out, the difference between a Model T Ford and a Tesla, you're gonna love that jump.
You are indeed. And let's end with a beef, my friend.
Ah,
Sanjay Joshi, our good friend Sanjay, he did a lot of lighting testing back in the day when lighting testing wasn't a thing. And
it's huge. Shook up the industry.
Yeah. And he's back at it again. And
I fucking love it.
Yeah, and he tested 3 lights or whatever on Reef Builders, our friends at Reef Builders. And and happy 20th anniversary, Reef Builders. And he was getting all kinds of shit online.
Yeah, it sort of started a shitstorm that was
But silly. It was such a stupid shitstorm. First of all, it was like, ew, how did you pick these 3 lights? It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, and people were acting like, oh, you picked those, the big 3, because they gave you money or something like that. But really, man, Sanjay is so methodical, and I've never known him. He doesn't skew a number because someone this or that. It's when he presents data, it's true data.
Yeah.
So to bother him about whatever ones he chose to put on the chopping block first, and I would almost think if you were a manufacturer of those lights, because of the way that Sanjay is with his data, I'd be a little scared. I wouldn't be like, if I'm Ecotech, oh, test these. I'm like, oh shit. Can you please talk to us before you release this data? Because he's so thorough and use such crazy stuff. I'm like, he might be testing it at a crazier way than we are. And I might be concerned about what the data shows.
Yeah. Well, too bad. And, I don't know if he's getting them for free or if he's buying them or whatever, but,
he brings us data.
We should be happy that now we have data on these 3 lights that we didn't have before. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. And the other thing he was getting grief for was, well, what do we do with this data? This is not useful to me. It's like, well, then don't look at it, you dumbass.
Wait, some people got pissed because he was doing it over air, right?
Yeah, that too.
And not through water.
Who cares, right? Whatever. You're just looking at the relative differences, right?
Yeah.
But I think this one was more like, well, why didn't you tell me the cost differences between running each light? And it's like, no, dude, dudesses, people, fucking do some thought on your own. Stop, cheap baby burden waiting for Sanjay to regurgitate into your mouth.
Baby burden.
It's the thing we talk about a lot, or at least I talk about a lot. It's like you have to develop some kind of understanding about what you're trying to do and why. You can't just go, I'm going to use this light because Sanjay said it's good. You need to understand what Sanjay was trying to say, which is not so hard to understand.
Yeah.
And make a decision which of those 3 lights, if you were going to use them, would be the one for you to use.
Whenever Sanjay comes up with these tests and releases data, it usually shakes up the the industry a little bit in a good way if you're concerned about the truth. And so
Yeah.
I like people that shake it up with good
Yeah.
data like that.
And we got to give a shout out to Jim Graham, who also does lighting testing, Telegram. All the people who are bringing you data, stop whining about it.
It's good.
It's data. It's good. Stop your whining.
I mean, if they're shilling, if they're, if their tests were crappy, I get that, but
Yeah, but then find out that the test is crappy, and what is shilling?
and then you do it yourself, not just complain.
Who cares? Do you really care if Sanjay was given a light or if he bought it himself? As long as he
No, as a
tested
matter
it?
of fact, like there's a light I like a lot, a Refi Uno.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to put anybody on the spot, but Sanjay announced that he was doing this, and I linked Daniel Liu, the maker of it, to it, and I was like, hey, send him a light. And Daniel was like, okay. Now I'm sure, like I said, it's scary when someone tests your product because they might, like, how are you testing or what, like I'm scared it puts it out and it's like my light is crappy.
Yeah,
But,
well, then you know
people
what?
to be tested.
But you know what that means? Then your light is crappy.
And you
shouldn't be
redesign it.
making a crappy light.
Well, I
Come
use
on.
these refis and they seem to be great. I'm interested in data that would come from Sanjay to sort of, help me look at it. And maybe I like them even more, or maybe it causes a redesign.
Yeah.
This data is good for stuff.
Yeah, remember the big blow up like this was with the flow, the tons of flows thing.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, first of all, it didn't stop anybody from buying Tunza. They're fine pumps anyway.
Tunza is bigger than ever right now.
If the number is different than what they said, does it really matter? And it made everyone kind of perk up and go, oh, we should be better with our testing so we're more accurate. And that's what the point is. If you're worried that your product getting tested might show that your product is shitty, then, your product's probably shitty.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beefers, for your support. We really appreciate you. No, I'm sorry. I'm laughing at the hard gear shift I just did.
Yeah.
The Discord is really a wonderful place, and the support from the Beefers is wonderful. If you're around and you've heard about all and you've gotten this far, we've got merch on the site. There's some new merch coming. Todd at Champion Lighting just got 1 billion stickers to start sending out with orders. And you can support us just by supporting us by buying, becoming a member or buying us a coffee, and there's various perks and stuff like that. And we've been busy. Everyone's been busy this time of year, so all the Discords are a little slow. But it is still nice to be on the Discord and see what happened with our friends in Florida, kind of real time, what was going on with them during the hurricanes and making sure they're okay. And, do they need anything? And the community is really nice and I really like it. And it's going to get busier again. And we're going to have a Reef Beef meetup at Reef Stock in Denver. We're looking forward to that. And any beefers who are in the Boston area at the Boston Club's Fragsgiving on November 9th, I'm going to be there, and I'll be at Pratt Institute the week before that. So yeah, beefers, we like to talk to you and see you. So say hi. You can post below the videos. We'll talk to you there. Come on to the Discord. We'll talk to you there. Anything on that kind of ass kissing? That's real ass kissing, Ben?
If you have a question about anything, I don't give a shit if it has to do with aquariums. Put it in the comment section here and I'll find it. If you ask me what's my favorite color or how to properly cook a brisket or why is your goldfish dead or is it okay if your aunt spends the night, just put it down below.
Yeah, a customer wrote to Champion Lighting and Supply. The customer note was, 2 nerds on a podcast told me I should buy this stuff for my tank and that I should buy it from you. They also told me Todd is the person that should pack it for me.
Yes.
So, we love that kind of stuff. Anyway, this episode was sponsored by saltwateraquarium.com.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
And powered by PolypLab. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
What?
What?
You can't see me.
What happened to you?
Wait, is that real or is that
What?
on you?
Oh, no, that's Zoom did that. Does this change anything for you? Now I got big crazy eyebrows.
Damn.
And I can
It
make
just looks
them-
more believable than it used to.
There, now they're blue.
That's crazy.
Isn't that stupid?
You can be like a lonely cat person.
A lonely cat. Do you like this one better? Hey,
Yeah, what are they? Maybe that's not cool to say.
hey, why don't you get in the van?
What that thing is called.
Soul patch. But then there's all this other weird stuff like I could do, now I'm a cow.
Oh, a cow head.
I'm a cow. Is that exciting?
Well, that's beef. That's beefy.
That is pretty beefy. I don't like it though.
That would be weird.
I don't
over
want to
the-
be I don't want to be a cowhead. me.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Unique New York. Unique New York.
Father did not bother to lock the large box. Gla la 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 la. Gla la la.
Yeah, Snowman's gonna kill us. He's like, can you guys stay on target?
No, we can't.
That's like a thali, like Indian, like Gujarati thali. So you like just go with the segue then.
I'm saying yes. No. I think we should come up with another culture's bunch of little tapas. It's like
Yeah,
tapas.
like tapas. Are you familiar with the Gujarati thali plate?
Snowman is going to stab you in the neck.
He already has. See all these calluses?
You're bleeding out. That's why.
Yes. I like watching your mustache dances all over your face.
It does.
And then when you turn around, it just
every now and again,
dancing.
you get a little bit closer,
and then you turn around and it goes shoom, right on there. Yeah, see?
yeah, Shane.
Well, hey, I want you to do me a favor.
Yeah.
I want you to enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh, thank you, Ben. I will do that favor for you.
Is that something you can do for me,
I
little
can do.
champ?
I can do that for you, Big Daddy.
That got creepy.
Straight to creepy.
Yeah.